One of my friends used to work at a bowling alley, and this was sometime maybe around just over 10 years ago. My friend at the time was working there in 2015, and she happened to be working a part-time as working for the bowling alley. Her mainly job was to, make sure all the bowling shoes were clean for the next day and stuff like that. That was mainly her job, and she did seem to like it. It was busy on most nights, especially on weekends and days when there's no school. Most of the time, her job had been very well done, and it paid pretty decently. As she was doing her usual job while bowling, she ended up coming across something that really made her blood, not really her blood boil, but it definitely was one that she really didn't like, working late nights. Now, when she did bowling, and she was working one day, she happened to be saying something, which happened to be a computer, where it shows the initials of people, of what they're doing and how they're doing bowling and stuff. Now, as she was working, it happened to be around closing night, since everybody was getting ready to go to bed, and not really getting ready to go to bed, but getting ready to close. And that's when it all happened. Now, what really happened was my friend, she was pretty much just making sure everybody was getting out and they were going home for the night. While she was doing that, she ended up getting a text from some unknown number. She obviously didn't know who it was, and she asked them if they were looking for someone. The text replied saying that they were looking for Ashley. Now, her name was Ashley, and Ashley said that she's Ashley, but she doesn't know if they have the right one. Of course, this guy, whoever was on the line, was pretty much coming up with stories saying he went to school with her and stuff. Now, Ashley was getting a little freaked out by this, because she knew for a fact that whoever this guy is somehow got her number, and she wasn't sure how he got her number, but something really suspicious was going on in her mind. Now, she at first didn't really seem to care and just talked to the guy. However, it wasn't until the next day when she was at work, she ended up showing her coworker about the guy who was texting her, and he kind of asked her about did he get her number. Ashley had no idea, so she just kind of brushed it off. About maybe a week or so later, Ashley was up in the middle of the night after they're coming home from bowling to get 20 plus messages from that same number. She decided that she would go to the cops, and once she went to the police ended up taking her statement, and they traced the number, but apparently it was from a WhatsApp, and they couldn't really trace it, unfortunately. So whoever that guy is definitely really had some serious issues, and I wasn't so sure as to what he was going to do with Ashley. I don't know if he was going to rob her or try to stalk her or do God knows what, but let's just hope this guy gets the serious help that he needs, and I hope he stays away from Ashley. Now, this was sometime maybe a few years ago when one of my friends and I went to a bowling alley. Now, to give it a long story short, one of my friends at the time was a little older than me, and it was sometime when I was in 2016, when I was still in high school. While I was still in high school, my friend and I decided to go bowling as he wanted to spend some time. So he texted me through Facebook and asked me if I wanted to go bowling. I said sure, and we ended up going bowling. Now, on that day, he picked me up, and we had lunch, and then we went bowling. My mom was there too, so everything was all okay. We were bowling and having a great time, and I seemed to really enjoy myself as I needed a break from all the hassle that I've been having at school. However, maybe a few minutes minutes in the bowling game, I needed to use the bathroom, so I told them that I was going to be a minute and that I'd be back. I went to go to the bathroom, and as soon as I was in the bathroom, I ended up seeing that there was no one in there. As seeing that there was no one in there, I felt a little unsure if being alone was a good thing. I mean, I don't mind being alone sometimes, but sometimes when you're in a public place, anything could be really scary. I basically was in the bathroom doing my own business when I ended up hearing someone walk in, and at first I wasn't sure as to who it was. When I looked, I realized that there was a pair of feet in the stall next to me. But they weren't a female's shoes. They looked like a man. And that's when I realized that a man entered the stall. But I was kind of wondering, why would he enter the stall? And why would he be in the girls' room? I was a little nervous, to say the least, so being a 17-year-old, I decided to quickly finish up, and I did my best as I can to quickly go out. As soon as I hear the guy, I flushed the toilet and coming out, I was out of the bathroom. I told my mom about it, and when I did, she went in the bathroom with me, but we couldn't find any traces of the guy. Either he left or something like that. We reported it to the people at Bowling Rama, and of course they said they would look into the problem and they would do a search. The police arrived and they did a search of the bathroom, and they did a search and throughout the entire mall, as well as doing patrols with the security guards just to see if he ever came back. He never did came back, and I don't even know what really happened to him. But I know one thing. Whoever this guy is was definitely doing something and probably had something suspicious going on. I don't know what he was planning to do with me, but whatever he had going to do with me was definitely something I didn't want to even know. I go to the bowling alley every now and then, but ever since I moved to another city, I hadn't been there since then, and I do hope that guy never comes back. Obviously, it's just really freaky knowing that he would do something like this, but I really am not sure as to what his intentions were. If I had to guess, his intentions were probably not good, and something could have potentially happened to me if I didn't say anything. Now, obviously, maybe he was planning to kidnap me, rob me, or do God knows what, but I really don't know, and I really do not even want to know what his intentions were, but I can definitely say it was definitely really scary for me. I mean, it wasn't really the type of story to make you jump out of your seat, but it's definitely one story that I do remember, and this is definitely one that I can definitely say was the most craziest story I've ever had. It's a little insane, but you get what I mean. So this happened sometime in 2014 to one of my friends named Mandy. Now, she was basically an adult, and this happened when she went bowling with two of her friends back in 2014. Now, she was about 22 at the time of the story, and this is definitely one that really kind of shook her a bit. To make it a long story short, her friends and herself loved to go out and do stuff every now and then, and most of the time they had a fun time, and they never really had an issue. However, this was one story that really did throw her off guard, and it actually kind of made her change the perspective of bowling. Not really entirely, but to some extent. Now when Mandy and her friends went to the bowling alley, it was sometime maybe around, I guess, 6 o'clock, as they arrived there at least an hour early at the mall so they can have lunch. However, though, during that time, that's when something starts to get really odd. When they ended up having dinner there, they ended up playing a few games on the bowling lane game and ended up having a good time. As they were doing their bowling game, there was this guy who walked up to them without a reason. They weren't sure as to who he was, and they didn't even recognize him. He seemed to be maybe in his mid-30s or something, and he looked up at them. He walked up to them and said, "Oh, hey, ladies, can you, help me get into the boys' bathroom? Apparently the door's locked." Now that was a really weird request, as this guy didn't even look like anyone they know. As they know for a fact that the boys' washroom was working just fine. But however, why was this guy saying that he needed someone to go in there? Mandy politely declined and said to go ask an employee to help him, but of course this man insists that they help. Now, as they did that, however, that's when something gets really messed up. Now, Mandy please told the guy to leave him alone or she wouldn't hesitate to go get a security guard. The man immediately backs away and walks off. The story doesn't end there, however. One of her friends, named Mindy, decided to go use the bathroom. She uses the bathroom and they continue the game. However, it wasn't until a few days later where unfortunately Mindy hadn't returned. 10 minutes turned into 20 and then a half hour, and Mandy thought that maybe she could have been upset or sick. So she goes into the bathroom. She goes in the bathroom and looks for Mindy and starts looking in each stall, asking if Mindy was okay. However, she wasn't nowhere to be found, and they weren't sure as to what it was. Her other friend, Rachel, went in with her, and they couldn't find Mindy. They eventually found Mindy, what happened to be coming out of the men's bathroom, and she was crying in hysteric. She started crying and laughing at the same time, like if she were a mental asylum. It turns out that she told Mandy that the man had pretty much violated her sexually in the bathroom. When she was going to the bathroom, the guy immediately pulls her to the boys' bathroom, which explains why they haven't heard Mindy. They immediately told the staff about it, and they described who the man looked like. They ended up going to the police, and they ended up giving their statement. The police had arrested the man as he happened to be going to a parking lot not far from the bowling place, and he was arrested. So screw him for hurting Mindy and doing God knows what to her. As for Mandy, she never went bowling on late nights again or like that. She never had done bowling like that for a long time. What would have happened to Mandy if she were the victim? I don't even want to know. But I can definitely know something was not good, and it definitely will be forever scarred in her for a very long time.